It was supposed to be the adventure of a lifetime, a solo trip to Rio de Janeiro, a city pulsating with samba beats and vibrant energy. Little did I know that my escapade would take a dark turn, plunging me into the depths of fear and paranoia. The evening began innocently enough. I found myself in a cozy little restaurant, the aroma of Brazilian spices filling the air. As I savored my meal, a stranger struck up a conversation at the adjacent table. His name was Eduardo, or so he claimed, with a disarming smile that masked something unsettling beneath. Eduardo's eyes lingered a bit too long, his questions probing into personal territory. Unease settled in my stomach, yet I chalked it up to cultural differences, convincing myself that my paranoia was unfounded. Little did I know, the night was just beginning. After parting ways at the restaurant, I navigated the unfamiliar streets of Rio. The night air was thick with humidity, and the rhythmic sounds of distant drums created an eerie backdrop. That's when I noticed him, Eduardo, trailing a few steps behind me like a shadow. Panic gripped me, my heart pounding in sync with the relentless samba beats. I quickened my pace, weaving through crowded streets and dimly lit alleyways. Eduardo persisted, his sinister smile never wavering. Fear etched itself into my every step, turning the vibrant city into a labyrinth of nightmares. Desperation led me to a bustling market square. I ducked into the crowd, my heart racing as I scanned the faces, hoping to lose him amid the chaos. But like a malevolent specter, Eduardo emerged, his eyes locked onto mine. It was clear I was being hunted. Fueled by terror, I sprinted through the labyrinthine streets, my breath hitching with each gasp. The once welcoming city had transformed into a maze of dread. I needed refuge, a place to hide from the relentless pursuer. My Airbnb seemed like the only sanctuary left. I raced towards it, my chest burning with exertion. The key fumbled in my trembling hands as I fumbled to unlock the door, and I stumbled into the dimly lit apartment, panting and praying for safety. The unsettling quiet of the apartment amplified the thudding of my heart. That's when I noticed it. The open window. Panic surged as the realization hit me. Eduardo had been inside, watching, waiting. I felt a shiver crawl up my spine. I tiptoed through the apartment, dread clinging to me like a suffocating fog. The air seemed charged with malevolence, and every creak of the floorboards sent shivers down my spine. The bedroom door loomed ahead, a portal to the unknown. As I pushed open the door, a chill ran down my spine. There, on the bed, lay a photograph. It was a picture of me, taken earlier that day at the restaurant. A wave of nausea swept over me. The stalker had been in my personal space, violating the boundaries of safety and sanity. Just as the dread threatened to consume me, a voice echoed through the silence. It was Eduardo standing in the doorway, his grin now a grotesque mask. My breath caught in my throat as he uttered words that chilled me to the bone. "I've been waiting for you." In that chilling moment, the room seemed to close in, the walls closing like the jaws of a monstrous creature. I was trapped in a nightmare of my own making. As Eduardo advanced, a surge of adrenaline jolted me into action. I stumbled backward, my hands searching desperately for anything that could be used as a weapon. The room blurred as panic seized my senses. Just as Eduardo lunged forward, a flash of inspiration struck. I reached for the bedside lamp, swinging it with all the strength desperation could muster. The impact reverberated through the room, the sickening crunch signaling a momentary victory. Gasping for breath, I stumbled out of the room, leaving Eduardo sprawled on the floor. The city outside was still, as if holding its breath, mirroring my own fear-fueled silence. In the aftermath, the police were called, and Eduardo was apprehended. The nightmare had ended, but the scars remained. Rio, once a city of dreams, now carried the weight of a haunting memory. As I reflect on that harrowing night, the advice I offer to fellow travelers is simple yet crucial. Trust your instincts. In unfamiliar lands, vigilance is your greatest ally. The allure of adventure can sometimes conceal the shadows that lurk within. So, to those who dare to wander, remember this tale. Let it be a cautionary whisper that echoes through the labyrinthine streets of every foreign city. Stay vigilant, trust your gut, and may your adventures be haunted only by the beauty of discovery. not the specters of the unknown. The flickering neon sign outside the diner cast an eerie glow on the deserted streets. It was another late night, and I, a weary waitress named Sarah, found myself navigating the graveyard shift in a dimly lit diner on the outskirts of town. Little did I know, the shadows that lurked within would soon become my nightmare. The opening creak of the diner door signaled the arrival of a lone customer, his silhouette shrouded in darkness. He introduced himself as Trevor, an unassuming figure, if not for the unsettling glint in his eyes. His presence sent an involuntary shiver down my spine, but duty compelled me to welcome him. As the night wore on, Trevor became a regular, haunting the corner booth like a specter. His orders were ordinary, but his gaze lingered too long, a discomfort settling in the pit of my stomach. Each night he left a generous tip, along with a handwritten note that hinted at an unsettling fixation. The notes started innocently enough, compliments on my smile, observations about my routines. But the tone soon morphed into something sinister. Trevor's words oozed with an unsettling familiarity, as if he knew more about me than he should. Fear began to claw at the edges of my consciousness. One night, after a particularly creepy note, I decided to confront Trevor. The air crackled with tension as I approached his booth, my voice trembling as I demanded an explanation. His response was a chilling whisper. "You're special, Sarah. I see things in you that others don't." Unease settled like a fog, obscuring the boundaries between discomfort and danger. I confided in my co-workers, but their dismissive laughter did little to alleviate my growing terror. Trevor's obsession escalated. He started lingering outside the diner after hours, his eyes fixed on me through the grimy windows. Desperation led me to involve the police, but without concrete evidence, they could do little. The nightmare persisted, the line between reality and paranoia blurring. One fateful night, as I locked up the diner, I found an envelope taped to the door, a series of photographs revealing intimate details of my life. Panic clenched my chest as I realized the photos were taken within the confines of my own home. With trembling hands, I dialed 911. The dispatcher's voice a lifeline in the darkness. As I awaited the police, the diner's interior felt like a cage. Trevors, presents lingering in the shadows. Sirens wailed in the distance, a symphony of salvation as the police arrived. They combed through the diner, finding no trace of Trevor. The photographs, however, painted a haunting picture of invasion, a stark reminder that safety is an illusion, even within the walls of one's home. The police assured me they would investigate, but Trevor remained elusive, a phantom in the night. As I stood alone in the empty diner, the weight of the ordeal sank in. The advice I would offer to those working late-night shifts is simple, yet crucial. Trust your instincts. If a situation feels off, it probably is. Your safety is paramount, and no tip or paycheck is worth compromising it. The diner, once a haven, now carried the scars of a nightmare. The ominous hum of the neon sign outside seemed to echo Trevor's unsettling whispers. Late-night shifts would never be the same, a cautionary tale etched in the fluorescent glow of the diner that had become my personal chamber of horrors. The night air hung heavy with the scent of grease and despair as I approached the diner for yet another overnight shift. At 19, I was no stranger to the struggles of making ends meet, but little did I know that this particular night would spiral into a nightmare beyond my wildest fears. The diner was nearly empty when he walked in, Trevor, a man with a disarming smile that barely concealed the darkness lurking beneath. His eyes bore into mine with an intensity that sent a chill down my spine. As I handed him the menu, I could already sense this night was going to be different. Trevor's orders were mundane, but his conversations strayed into uncomfortable territory. His compliments turned into lecherous remarks, each word laden with an unsettling desire. I brushed it off initially, attributing it to the loneliness of the late-night diner, but the unease festered. Night after night, Trevor returned, his advances escalating. He left me notes with explicit content, concealed between the pages of the menu. Fear began to take root within me, a gnawing realization that I was being watched, hunted. My co-workers dismissed my concerns, chalking it up to the hazards of the service industry. But as Trevor's fixation intensified, I found myself grappling with a growing sense of dread. The boundary between professional courtesy and personal safety blurred, leaving me trapped in a waking nightmare. One particularly sinister night, Trevor cornered me as I refilled his coffee. His touch was invasive, his breath hot against my ear as he whispered vulgarities. Panic surged, but survival instincts kicked in. I extricated myself from his grasp, heart pounding, and rushed to the safety of the kitchen. The diner's fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting eerie shadows that seemed to dance with malicious intent. I knew I couldn't endure this torment any longer. It was time to take action. I confided in the diner manager, who promised to address the issue, yet Trevor's presence lingered like a malevolent specter. Desperation clawed at me as I contemplated quitting. But financial constraints shackled me to the late-night shifts, my only refuge tainted by the stalker's unwavering pursuit. One fateful night, Trevor's advances took a dark turn. As I stepped out into the deserted parking lot, his silhouette emerged from the shadows. Panic surged through my veins as he lunged towards me. The world around me blurred as I sprinted for my life, the diner's facade a distant beacon of hope. The night seemed to conspire against me, the shadows closing in with each desperate breath. Trevor's footsteps echoed ominously, a relentless pursuit that echoed the sinister pulse of my racing heart. I could feel his malevolence inches away, a predator closing in on its prey. Just as despair threatened to consume me, a screeching sound shattered the night. The arrival of the police. The red and blue lights illuminated the horror that had unfolded in the diner's parking lot. Trevor, caught in the act, was apprehended, his sinister smile now replaced with a mask of defeat. The nightmare had come to an end, but the scars lingered. The diner, once a symbol of survival, now carried the weight of trauma. As I reflected on those harrowing nights, I couldn't help but wonder how many others faced similar horrors in the silence of the night. To those in the service industry, my advice is simple but crucial. Speak up. Don't let the darkness feast her in silence. Your safety and well-being are paramount. It's a battle worth fighting, not just for yourself, but for those who might face the same nightmares in the dimly lit corners of the late-night world.